Welcome to another in our special series of CIB in Conversation, which is talking to the keynote speakers for World Building Congress 2022. Many thanks to our sponsors for the Congress and for this series of conversations, and their logos are shown on the screen now. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Thomas Uhd from Denmark. Thomas, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Why don't we start by introducing yourself? What's your current role in the construction sector?
Well, currently I'm head of sustainability and external relations for Cementir. Cementir is a global cement and concrete producer, and I'm employed in the Nordic and Baltic region, where I'm supporting the business units, which is Aalborg Portland, the only cement industry in Denmark, and Unicon ready-mix concrete in Denmark and Norway. I'm supporting those business units with sustainability strategies, roadmaps, sustainability initiatives, but also with market positioning and public affairs. And public affairs is in particular important for this industry, due to supporting the green transmission of the industry.
Well, before we get into talking about some of that and how you're going to talk about it at the World Building Congress, let me ask you about your background and your career. How did you get started, and how have you got to where you are today?
Well, actually, I got kind of a untraditional background. Many years ago, I had practical training as an electrician, but then later on, I studied at universities and became a Master of Arts within philosophy, actually. But so you can say that my background is both, say, philosophical, theoretical, and also very practical. So my professional career, I have worked a lot with sustainability, with strategic communication and public affairs, and within the construction sector in particular. I've been working within the construction sector for many years. Starting at the IKEA properties and expansion with establishing new warehouses. Later on as an advisor, both for business organizations and public agencies and private enterprises. And then later on as a director for the Danish Concrete Association, and now at the Cementir Nordic and Baltic as head of sustainability and external relations. So not a very traditional background, but very much focused on communication, public affairs, sustainability, and the construction sector.
Excellent. So we love talking to people with non-traditional backgrounds. What tipped you into sustainability in the first place?
Well, actually, my first position after university was at Amnesty International, and then later on at IKEA, and I mean at Amnesty it was of course human rights, and at IKEA it was a broader sustainability perspective, also looking into sustainability, into the value chain, into supply chain, and also working conditions in production. So you can say that in the whole of my professional career, I have been working with sustainability. At that time being, it was called CSR, corporate social responsibility. But over the years, this has evolved into sustainability, and today we're talking about the SDGs and ESG. So this whole agenda has changed a lot over the years, but substantially we're talking about the same thing.
Well, the Sustainable development goals are absolutely core to CIB's work, where we were founded under the auspices of the United Nations. So inevitably, that's really our top mission. So I'm delighted that you're able to join us at the World Building Congress to talk about this theme. And in fact, it was our board member and my good friend Thomas Uhd of Aalborg who recommended you to us as a keynote speaker. So I'm delighted you've been able to accept. Just before we get into talking about your topic, what about we've got plenty of people watching who will be students or early career, a lot of them early career researchers, but a lot of them also thinking, well, should I stay with the research community? Should I be looking at a role in the industry? Do you have any thoughts or a tip or a piece of advice perhaps for people early in their career? You've had a non-traditional career. Does that lend you to pass on any advice to others who are just starting out and thinking about a career in construction or built environment?
I think that going into this sector with a more untraditional approach, I think that's very fruitful actually. And so if you're thinking about going the research way and study at university, you should definitely do that. But if you could have a strong connection with the enterprises and a close collaboration, that will definitely be a fruitful way of working. So I guess that we are in a very practical sector. So research shouldn't be too theoretical. I think that close collaboration between universities and enterprises is really key to change in this sector and industry.
Great, thank you very much. So let's come on to June 2022, Melbourne, Australia, and the World Building Congress. Tell me a little bit about what you're going to be talking about, what you're going to be saying at that Congress as a keynote speaker.
Yeah, what I'm going to dig into is why the cement industry and thereby also the concrete industry is a hard to abate industry. There's simply some industries for who the green transition is more difficult than for others. And when it comes to the production of cement, it's very extremely difficult to obtain substantial CO2 reductions. We can work with new fuel types. We can work with new cement types, but ultimately we need to use some breakthrough technologies like CO2 capturing and storage to obtain CO2 neutrality ultimately. So I'm going to dig into what's the conditions of this industry and what's the possibilities as well. I think it's mandatory with a green transition of this industry, but also we need to be realistic about how we can actually do it. So that is part of my keynote. The other part of my keynote is about the concrete industry and how we are working with cement and how we are working with concrete. And in that regard, of course, the concrete industry got a big role. But what is very important here is the collaboration in the value chain. As I mentioned just before, that includes collaboration with research institutes and universities, but definitely also in the value chain. There's a big role playing here by engineers and architects, but definitely also by the construction clients who is defining the project, and therefore also the possibility to collaborate in, say, unconventional manners in the value chain. So I'm going to dig into the whole collaboration in the value chain and some of the technical possibilities to work with concrete in a more sustainable manner.
And one of our other keynote speakers is James Baker from the Graphene Institute in University of Manchester. So one of his case studies is going to be on graphene as an additive in concrete. Have you looked at that yourselves?
Not exactly is that kind of technology. I mean, the technology that we're working on, we called it FutureSem, and what we are doing is that we are actually replacing part of the conventional Portland cement with limestone and clay. And thereby we are actually reducing the CO2 content of the cement with 30%. And this is actually, you can say, a groundbreaking technology, and we are seeing a big potential in this technology going forward. So we are looking at other technologies.
I think it's great that two of our keynote speakers are dealing with different aspects of the same challenge here, which is, as you say, is an important, a crucial material to seek to address in terms of climate impact. Because it does look like, doesn't it, that concrete is going to be a material used in the built environment for a very long time to come.
Exactly. I mean, many people, they are talking about replacing concrete, but in most aspects, it's actually not possible. So replacing concrete in, say, infrastructure, in foundations, in basements, it's simply not possible. So when the use of concrete is unavoidable, then the big question is not about how replacing it, but how we can use it in a more sustainable and produce it and use it in a more sustainable manner.
And people attending our conference will be policymakers, industry, but a lot of them interested in research and innovation. So what would be the particular takeaways? Why would you say this is important to those attending the conference? Why should they be coming to your keynote session?
They should come to my keynote session to get insight about the challenges that we are facing, but also the possibilities. And when we're talking about possibilities, we're of course talking about new cement types with maybe new properties and thereby also new concrete types with both lower CO2 content, but maybe also with the other properties, and therefore we need to collaborate about how we can use these new products in the construction sector in order to lower the CO2 content of our buildings. So we can provide new products, but we need to implement and use them in collaboration with other parties.
That's a great answer. Thank you very much indeed. This is an opportunity also to promote the value of the Congress, to encourage more people to come along. How would you describe the value of World Building Congress to other people?
What I value very much about conferences in general is simply the possibility to meet people with who you wouldn't have met otherwise, and have in-depth conversations about, I mean, what they can actually offer and how we could potentially collaborate together. And I guess that will be the same thing with your conference, that this is a great opportunity simply to meet new people who you wouldn't have met otherwise, and potentially get together and collaborate about new projects. And then of course, I mean, the whole insight part of it is crucial. I'm looking forward to the other keynotes and to the dialogue about I mean, how they see the world and their approach to changing and working with sustainability in the construction sector.
Well, for sure, sustainability will I'm sure be the priority topic of the Congress. Not to upset my colleagues in working commissions who perhaps don't directly address the theme in the same way, but collaboration has absolutely come across us already. I mean, we've been 21 months now since the onset of the global pandemic. Have you missed conferences, having to deal with webinars all the time and working from home instead of face-to-face meetings? How do you feel about all of that?
Definitely. I must say that being physically at conferences, meetings, and so forth simply brings another aspect to conversations. To some extent, I think that the pandemic has shown new possibilities with video conferences and less traveling and more efficient meetings. But when it comes to exchanging knowledge and having an in-depth conversation, you really need to meet up physically.
Well, thank you for that, Thomas. And I think that those words would be echoed by many in the CIB community. I like to finish these conversations by asking you about a top opportunity. So thinking about the audience of policymakers or industry practitioners, what's the top opportunity in your field of expertise that these people ought to take away from your keynote?
I mean, one of the things that I'm going to mention is we are having a new building code in Denmark with some CO2 demands starting from 2023. And I think that this is more or less the first time that the official building code is actually setting targets for CO2 in buildings, and how is that going to change the construction sector in Denmark, and how can others learn from that? So I think that is very important also for policymakers in other countries. Then I'm also going to address the need for demands in public procurement. Public procurement is definitely this big muscle in the green transition, which needs to be activated. So why is that crucial? So basically, you can say that I mean the sector will move and make changes on own terms, but basically we need some regulations to support this green transition. So that I'm going to address.
And it would be remiss of me before I let you go. You mentioned earlier, and you mentioned earlier the role of the client. You mentioned now the role of public procurement. Could you just say another sentence on the importance of the client in improving, how we work in our sector and how we deliver better built environment that's more sustainable?
Yeah, I mean, for us as a cement producer, normally, I mean, our market entry would be directly with the concrete producers and only with the concrete producers. But with new product, we need to go up into the value chain, and we need to engage into a dialogue and with the rest of the value chain, and also establish strategic partnerships. And therefore, I mean, what we see as a clients simply change. Our customer is changing. So we're not only selling cement to a concrete producer, we are actually selling cement to the building sector, and therefore we need to engage into the value chain. And this is simply a new way of working, and I don't think that we are the only one facing this issue. So that's another takeaway I will address at the keynote.
Thomas, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be talking to you today. I can't wait to meet you in person in Melbourne. I can't wait to hear the full content of your keynote presentation. For now, we'll leave our conversation there. Thank you to everybody for watching this special edition of CIB in Conversation, and a big thank you to you for taking part today. Thank you.
You're welcome, Dan. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you and all our viewers in June 2022 for the World Building Congress. Thank you.